video we're going to look at how it's easy to fake playing like Led Zeppelin on acoustic guitar. One of the biggest frustrations for the beginner guitarist is you get stuck in strumming through the same chords. You learn a whole bunch of songs, but you really don't know what to do with the chords. Now I remember many years ago in the late 80s, guitar shops in South Shields where I live were pretty short-lived. They used to open for about a year, then close down until I don't even think there's a guitar shop in South Shields anymore. But I remember as a teenager, in the window of this particular guitar shop in New Green Street, there was an Antoria semi-acoustic, beautiful looking guitar. And I used to walk past the window of this shop looking at this guitar, wanting to play it. And I summoned up the courage to go in and ask to play the guitar. The guy made us take my denim jacket off so I didn't scratch it when I played it. And strumming through the first couple of chords of I'm in Love with My Car on this guitar, the guy went, are you just gonna strum that, are you? And that's all I knew how to do. And it was really frustrating, I felt a bit stupid. But as you got more confident on the guitar, you realised that there were certain things you could do with simple chords, and that's what we're going to look at in this video. Simple shapes that a beginner will know and how to expand on them and experiment. So we'll take a concept as opposed to a lesson on how to play individual tracks. So if you took something like the D chord, which is probably one of the first chords, if not the first chord you learn on the guitar. Now if you move that up to the 4th fret, that same shape, it still sounds quite nice. If you move it up to the 5th fret, if you follow the dots as it were, so experiment with trying that in different places and just using that D chord. You straight away sound very Led Zeppelin-y or Led Zeppelin-esque on very little. Now you can make that more interesting still. If you do your D chord, take it off for a D suspended 2. Essentially do the same thing. Now I've tuned my E string down to D. Now that makes things more interesting because when I do my D chord, I can hit all the strings and it sounds fuller. And straight away you immediately sound like you really know what you're doing, even if you don't. But with the beauty of the drop D is if you use these 3 strings, you've immediately got power chords which you're playing with one finger. So you could have again very Soundgarden E or Led Zeppelin E. All I'm doing there is D suspended 2. Put my finger on the 3rd fret of A, or that shape going down to the B note. So you're only strumming and using simple shapes and coming up with something that sounds a little bit more involved. So with that D, we'll have that shape we're going to move up and down, the D suspended 2, which we can move up and down. We have this, if you left that out. Sorry. Yeah. We've also got, if you took a D7, took our finger off there and did a D7 suspended 2 and move it up 2 frets. So play around with where it sounds good and use your own imagination. Now if we move this finger along here for an A minor 7, let's slide it up 2 frets. Move over to the D suspended 2, or the D7 suspended 2. Like I say, you're starting to sound like you really know what you're doing. Another shape is the A7, and I think on Wholehearted by Extreme, which is another Led Zeppelin-esque or Led Zeppelin E. He does that A7, does that shape, the A minor 7 shape, 2 frets up. Which sounds really nice. Another one is half of a B flat chord. So instead of doing the full B flat, you're doing the 1st fret there and the 3rd fret of the B and the G, and I'm using the D note there. And if I do an F major 7 shape again, that doesn't sound very good, that does. So I hope this gives you some ideas of what to be able to play, and it's more of a concept of using different shapes, sliding them up and down, and like the beginning bit that I did there. So using an A chord, 3rd fret of the A, 4th fret. So as always, thank you for watching, and I hope that gives you some ideas about how to play around with different shapes and chords and sound Led Zeppelin-y or Led Zeppelin-esque.